Hello everyone, welcome to the course. What's this course all about? Well, you'll begin this course as someone who already understands at least the very basics of HTML and CSS, and by the end of the course, you will have transformed into a rock-solid developer that companies are looking to hire. How do I know what companies are looking for? Because as a senior developer, I've been on the hiring side of developer job interviews. And I noticed that a lot of times we'd be interviewing great people who were very talented, but they just didn't have the knowledge we were looking for, so we had to pass on them. At some point, I thought to myself that it would be nice if there was a course that taught the exact skill set we were looking for. I couldn't find such a course, so I built this one. So in this course, we are going to build a website together from beginning to end, and we'll even push it live up onto the web. Don't worry, that part won't cost you a penny. And once your site is live, you can share the link with anyone on the planet. Now, even though we'll build the site together and have a really nice finished product, this course is really more about the journey than the destination. Because along the way, we'll learn how to use all of the tools that make up the modern developer's workflow. Now, there are a ton of different tools, and it can be tricky to understand how all of the puzzle pieces fit together. So my job is to walk through the jungle of tools and best practices with you, step by step, concept by concept. Now we will get into the course outline in just a moment, but first I want to address my teaching style. I try to explain why we're doing something. Because I know that personally, when I'm trying to learn something new, nothing frustrates me more than when the instructor technically shows me how to complete a task, but by the end of the lesson, I still have no idea why I even needed to complete the task in the first place. I don't like it when instructors assume that you already know why you're doing something, and they basically just want to read a series of instructions to you. In my opinion, that isn't teaching. That's one step above reading microwavable popcorn instructions to people and calling yourself a teacher. Anyways, that's not the way I learn, so that's not the way I teach. I try to explain why we're doing what we're doing. Alright, now let's move on. Let's talk about the outline for the course. So what exactly are we going to do and learn? Well, there are 7 main topics or sections, and here they are. The first section is about Git. Now we have an entire lesson dedicated to the question of what is Git? So for now, long story short, Git is what allows us to collaborate with other developers and keep track of how our files change over time. In this section, we'll learn Git itself and also a popular service named GitHub. Also in this section, we will face our fears of the command line. We'll learn that the command line is not scary if you have a friend walk you through things step by step. In the next section of the course, we will learn about Node.js. Now again, we have an entire lesson that answers the question, what is Node? But basically, we'll use Node to turn our computer into our own personal assistant robot that performs all sorts of tasks for us automatically. And this will free us up to spend our time on more important developer tasks. In this section, we'll also learn about something named NPM, which is like a grocery store filled with code where we can grab any ingredients we need for our site in one centralized place. Also in this section, we'll learn about something named webpack, which is the tool that will make turning our computer into our personal little robot assistant much easier than coding things from scratch. The next section of the course is all about CSS. We will write every single line of CSS for our site together, so that way you can see my thought process. Now you might be thinking, hey, I already know CSS, and I'm sure you do, but companies don't just want developers who can create a 3-column layout. They also want someone who can keep their CSS highly organized even on larger, more complex projects. So in this section, we'll learn how to stay really organized and write recyclable CSS by learning about a philosophy named BEM. The next section of the course is about mobile-first design and performance. Performance means making our site load as quickly as possible for our visitors. Now again, we have an entire lesson answering the question, what is mobile first? But in a nutshell, mobile first is all about making sure that users don't download any more data than they need to in order for the site to run on their particular device. So for example, a smartphone visitor shouldn't have to download a huge image that's suited for for a 30-inch desktop monitor. Also, in the name of reducing how much data visitors need to download, we'll learn about lazy loading our images. So images only get loaded in once a user scrolls down to them. And it goes without saying that in this section, we'll learn about responsive web design from a mobile-first perspective. The next section of our course is all about JavaScript. And this is probably the section of the course that you will be most excited about, because JavaScript is the single most valuable skill in terms of what employers are looking for right now. In this section, we'll learn about the very basics of object-oriented programming. We'll learn about the module pattern, which lets us break up our code into modular, super well-organized chunks. And we'll also learn how to use popular tools like Babel and webpack. Babel will let us write ultra-modern ES6 flavored JavaScript, and webpack will let us use NPM packages in our front-end code. In the next section of our course, we will push our site live up onto the web. We will use a free service that GitHub offers, so you won't need to sign up for any new web hosting or anything. Also, we will use the popular Netlify service and see how easy it is to get started with cloud or AWS Lambda functions. And in the final section of our course, we will talk about job interviews and career progression. So first, we'll learn how to get more job interviews, and then how to do well in those interviews. After that, we'll talk about next steps, things you can learn after this course if you want to level up your skills even further. And finally, we'll talk about career progression. We'll learn how to continually move forward and avoid career burnout or stagnation. And there you have it, a complete outline of the course. And it's a big course, I'm well aware, but I really believe the reward for completing it will be equally big. I know that if I was interviewing someone who had the skill set that we are going to learn here, I would give management the green light to hire them. Now I know there are a lot of topics being covered here, and it might seem intimidating, but I promise we are going to move at a pace where we can focus on one thing at a time and give it our full attention. We will take the time to build a genuine understanding of each topic before moving on to the next, and this will keep us from feeling overwhelmed. It's actually going to be a lot of fun to see how all of these puzzle pieces fit together. I would love to have you come along on this journey with me, so if you're ready to begin your transformation, let's dive right in.